My name is Jason VandenBerghe. I'm the creative director of For Honor.
First of all then, where did the concept for the game come from?
So, the concept for this game actually, it sounds like a made-up story, but I can assure you this is actually how it happened. It was about 12 years ago. This game has been stuck inside my head for a really long time. I took a course in what's called Western martial arts, which is the longsword style that actually you played, the warden character, right? And I was leaving my class and I was thinking about controls and stuff, and I started wondering what would happen if we could put the katas and sort of the forms that I was learning in this class on the right stick in some way, right? Sort of make that work. And over the course of the walk home, right, I just sort of stumbled into a new realm of design where I felt like, oh my God, if we did this, had that control scheme, I would feel the way that I feel when I pick up a weapon and fight on a real battlefield. It would bring me closer to the emotions of real fighting than I feel like the mechanics I've been using, that we've been using for all those years, could do. Got very excited about it, started pitching it for about 10 years. The answer was no, no, and no, no, and no, and furthermore, no, we don't make that game, no, no, and no. Until I finally had the good fortune to pitch to Yannis Malat, the head of Ubisoft Montreal. And instead of saying no, he said, hey, I have a team I'd like you to meet. And introduced me to the team that had done Naruto and a bunch of other sort of action stuff at Ubisoft Montreal. And I pitched it to the team, and the team said yes. And but they were like, "Cool idea, but let's fix it," because there were some flaws in the system. So over the next few years, we iterated, built a bunch of prototypes, and started exploring this new what we think is a new genre. We'll see. You guys will tell us. We don't really know, but we got very excited about it, and then here we are.
So I guess you felt a certain degree of vindication then to see your concept coming to life and working, yes, the way you'd envisaged, right?
Yeah. So for me, the experience of seeing people really playing the game finally, right, it's relief, right? I had faith. I knew it would probably work. I didn't know it would work this well or for this many people. The response here at E3 has just been overwhelming, honestly. It's great, of course, it's what we'd hoped for, but still you always doubt, because for a long time this topic was so sort of underground and sort of, right, but a lot has changed in the last 10 years on this topic, right? It's awesome to be here and to be shown at the game, because of course the whole point of For Honor is to make a game for anyone with a sword fighting fantasy. Basically, if you've ever wanted to pick up a weapon and fight, and you thought that might feel cool, right? Well, that's the game we're trying to make. So I hope that's what we've got.
Well, it's a simple game to pick up and play, but I imagine kind of nailing down those mechanics must have been complicated. What was the most complicated thing to get right in the game? You're right that nailing down the mechanics was a challenge. I would say that it's the overall fit that was the hardest part to make it work. We had many cases of individual mechanics that were great, but actually broke whole other systems. Finding the balance that you're playing here today, I think that would be the hardest thing, sort of that overall flow, because we wanted to have a system that made sense to you intuitively once you understood the basic button inputs, that you could think clearly and be like, oh, I understand it, right? But it also needed to have enough depth in it that there was a lot to learn and a lot to master, and you could keep going and playing forever, right? So we tried. In our first round of iterations, we tried. It was over 400 prototypes, right? We were doing a playtest every day, right, to work on stuff. So at the end, we ended up with this set of mechanics you see here, and they kind of click together, and now we think we've got it. That sort of foundation. So here we're testing it out to see what you guys think. Am I right in thinking that you worked on the Far Cry series before this?
I was I was a narrative director on Far Cry series.
So has it been a weird kind of departure doing something this far removed from that?
This is what I have always wanted to do. But of course, I've done a lot of shooters in my life as well. And one thing that I've been telling people, this game, what we're seeing here is sort of the tip of the iceberg, right? What we're actually trying to do is make a shooter with swords.
So if you think about that in sort of the terms of the scope that we're going to be offering, right? We're going to have a full solo campaign, right? A full sort of story-driven, that we'll talk about that later, but we're not here yet. We're going to have more modes, and right. But if you think about that sort of shooter with sword structure, it gives you an idea of kind of the scope of this game, right? So that transition wasn't so tricky for me because I've done so many shooters and I've been thinking about this problem for a really long time. So For Honor, you can expect to see Honor on PS4, on Xbox One, and on PC. Thank you very much.